Hi everybody, welcome to the gallery. Now I was given this fresh cut head of cabbage from a beautiful friend Nancy from her garden the other day, and I wanted to use it today, and this is kind of what I came up with. So it is kind of spicy shrimp. You've got cool cilantro creamy coleslaw, and then we're putting that on top of really good for you quinoa. So don't go anywhere, because here we go with, I'm making it up on the fly, shrimp bowl. Now the first thing that we want to do to get ready for this beautiful bowl is the slaw, because we really want this slaw to sit as long as it can, because the more it sits, the more those flavors develop, and the tastier it's going to be. Honestly, tomorrow it's going to be even better. So for my cabbage, I'm just going to slice it very thin. I want this really as shredded as possible, and because I want to be able to eat this bowl easily and all I need is a fork, I'm going to go ahead and just chop it down a little bit more to make it easier to eat. And we want 3 to 4 cups of our cabbage. Next up, we're going to do our creamy cilantro dressing for this slaw. Now in the recipe I'm going to write for green onions, but I also got these beautiful spring onions from Nancy's garden. I just had my knife. So for today's purposes, I'm going to use that because I have it. It's fresh. It's beautiful. So I'm going to do a little bit of onion in here. Now to my food processor, if I was doing green onions, I'd probably do 2 of them. And probably 2 cloves of garlic. I have 3 here because one of them was just tiny. And I'm going to give this an initial little whirl. Now I got that just kind of an initial chop there. And then I'm going to add the zest and juice from 2 limes. Now I kind of feel like if the lime is something that you're looking for and that's why you're using the juice, then you should go ahead and kick it up and use the zest. And make sure you wash the outside of your limes really well before you zest them. So let me get these zest and then we'll come back and finish adding the rest of our ingredients. So I've got my lime juice in there, and I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of kosher salt and some cracked pepper, and I want my mixed blend here. I've been thinking about getting new grinders. I think I've just absolutely worn them out. Now I have a cup loosely packed of fresh cilantro. So I'm going to add that cilantro. Now if you are somebody that has that gene, or somebody in your family does, and cilantro tastes like soap to you, well, I'm really sorry, because that would be terrible. I love cilantro. Instead of the cilantro, substitute with an avocado, and it'll be really tasty. Or just add avocado anyway if you want, just for the nutrition. So let's just get that mixed up. And then to that, you want a cup of, oh, sorry, knife falling on me. You want a cup of Greek yogurt or sour cream or mayonnaise. So I started making some Greek yogurt today. It could really sit for longer, but it's going to work for these purposes. And I really wasn't making Greek yogurt. I was really making yogurt cheese, but you make Greek yogurt in the process of making yogurt cheese. So, and I have a video on that. So I'm going to scoop out a cup of this and add it. And then because I am doing this, so I just started with good old whole plain yogurt and straining that, put a little something weight on it. And then because I'm making that today, means that I have the whey And this whey that comes from your byproduct of making your yogurt cheese is amazing. It's a probiotic. It has vitamins, minerals, nutrients. This stuff is so good for you. But I use it a lot because when I make mayonnaise or ketchup, I add that whey to it, and that helps extend its shelf life. So it's really good stuff. Now, I'm going to use it today since I'm making it and I have it to cook our quinoa in. So let's give it a whirl. Isn't that pretty? Well, obviously we have to taste it. Really good stuff. I am going to go just a little more salt. So over our cabbage we go. Now this cabbage would be great for fish tacos or shrimp tacos or just kind of any tacos really. So make sure we get all of that out of there. And let's give that a toss. And then we're going to sit this aside and just let all those flavors develop. And the cabbage will soften up just a little. So, looks pretty, huh? Okay, so next up, now that we have our slaw done, next up, the quinoa. So next up, we're going to cook our quinoa. Now, you can absolutely substitute white or brown or whatever kind of rice you want for the quinoa. But I want to take a minute to talk to you about the quinoa. Quinoa, especially for you boat people, if you think it's going to be a long time before you can stock up on your proteins, quinoa will store for years. And the thing about quinoa, it is a complete protein. And what this means is quinoa contains all 9 essential amino acids that your body needs. And the only other things that have all 9 of these essential amino acids are beef, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, quinoa, buckwheat, and soy. Now, without the 9 essential amino acids, if you do not get them, it will decrease your immunity. It messes up with your digestive system. Depression can cause fertility issues. It can lower your mental abilities, make like a foggy brain. You can have slow growth rate in children. You can lose your hair, and it can actually accelerate aging. So the 9 essential amino acids are very important. So if you're not eating a complete protein, say a chicken breast or your quinoa, then you have to mix things together. So some have part of them and some have the other part, like mixing rice and beans together gives you all 9 of the essential amino acids that you need. So now that I've talked about quinoa, till you're bored about it, let's make some. Now, 1 cup of quinoa will make 3 cups of cooked quinoa. And, you know, a lot of times you see quinoa and it's advertised as an ancient grain, and it is ancient. Like, people have been eating it for 5,000 years. But it's actually the seed of a plant that grows in South America. So to my pot, I'm going to add my 1 cup of dried quinoa, and I like a ratio of usually about 1 3/4 cups liquid to my 1 cup of quinoa. A lot of recipes call for 2 cups water to 1 cup, but I think it gets a little fluffier if you don't put so much water. And this is that whey protein from that yogurt where I'm making. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, and that's just going to add even more value and goodness to that quinoa. And then the rest I'm just going to do with chicken stock. And you can absolutely make this with just water. So you can just do 1 cup of your quinoa to 1 3/4 cup water. And I'm going to do a pinch of salt. And what I'm going to do is bring this to a boil. And as soon as this comes to a boil, I'm going to reduce it to simmer, pop a lid on it, and simmer it for 10 minutes. So now we're waiting for our quinoa to come to a boil, and we are there. I'm turning my simmer burner on so it can simmer away back there. I'm going to pop my lid on, and we'll set my timer for 10 minutes. And let it do its thing. And then we're going to start with our shrimp. Now I have 1 pound of shrimp, 16-20 count, peeled, deveined, and the tails off. I don't like the tails in my bowl, or if I'm eating a salad. I know a lot of restaurants do that and leave the tails in, and I'm not a fan personally. So I'm going to make a little seasoning mix here, and you can just sprinkle it on it. I like just to do it in a jar of some kind, and that way I can shake it up. And if you see, in case anybody says there's something black in there, it's a black bean. I put dried beans in my, I don't know if you can see it on that, and my spices, so the moisture, I don't know if you can see them. And so it helps with the moisture and it doesn't clump up. So I'm going to do a half a teaspoon garlic powder, a half a teaspoon onion powder, and half a teaspoon chili powder. I've got ancho chili powder here. Now I also, because I'm kind of making this up as we go, I'm going to add just a little. Might not use all of this, so if I do it, shake it up in something separately instead of just all on there, I think it's a little bit safer. And then I'm just going to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. I personally think a little bit of cumin goes a long way. And then we can shake that up to use for our shrimp. Now, I think I want to add a little citrus here, of some kind of citrus juice. But I think we've already got the lime in the coleslaw. So I think this time I'm going to go with orange, and so I think that'll help add a little bit of sweetness, because so far we don't have a lot of sweetness going on. So I think this is going to add some sweetness. Now especially once you add citrus acid, of any kind of acid, to your shrimp, you got about a 30-minute window before you have to cook it, or else you're going to have ceviche, because it's the acid in there that starts to cook it. And technically ceviche is actually a cooking method, like grilling or broiling. Where'd I put my handy dandy thing here? So I'm going to do a little bit of orange juice here, some orange zest, and then our seasoning mix. So I think I'm just going to do maybe about half and just kind of see how it looks, so that it doesn't get overly seasoned. So again, you could do this in advance. You can absolutely cook this shrimp in advance and have it chilled and ready for you. You know, I think it looks okay. I think I'm going to keep going. And just a pinch of kosher salt in there. I'm not going to put any oil in here because I'm going to do these in my cast iron skillet. If I was going to grill these on the grill, I would probably add a little avocado oil. But I'm going to do them here in my cast iron. And yep, I say let's do it all. Let's do it. So I'm going to let these just sit and marinate for a few minutes, and then I'm going to get my pan ready and get ready to cook them. So I can see inside my pot here, and there's still a lot of water. So I've set my timer for 2 extra minutes. I'm going to give that 2 extra minutes, and then we'll turn that heat off and let it sit for another 10 minutes. I've got my cast iron pan on over here heating up, it's best to let your pan get hot before you add any oil. And then I have my rack here ready to go, so when my shrimp come out, I can put them on here. Air can flow through and they can cool down. If I was to scoop them out and say put them in a bowl, they're going to stay hot and steamy and continue to cook. And we don't want overcooked shrimp. So when I see that this is hot, you can always do a little water dance with it and see if that starts to bubble. So I'm just going to spray my pan with some avocado oil. There's my 2 minutes. So I'm going to turn that off and just let it sit there. And then we're going to cook our shrimp. Now, don't overcrowd your pan. It's better to do them in batches than to overcrowd them. Now, these are going to take maybe 2 minutes aside. Shrimp cook really fast. Okay, do one more in there. So we're just going to watch that. No, it smells good. You definitely smell the chili powder in there. So you can see that pinkness coming through from the other side. So you know you want to flip those. So I'm pulling those out. And then we're going to continue to cook the rest of our shrimp. So we're almost ready to assemble. Our slaw is looking good. Somebody's rocking us. My quinoa is finished and steaming. Our shrimp is cooked. But I want to make a little drizzle, if you will, for the top. And I'm going to do this with some sour cream. Again, you could do this with your Greek yogurt. And I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of sour cream. And you could do sriracha, whatever honestly is your favorite hot sauce. This is my own homemade. It smells good. And it's getting a little low. And you're going to have to kind of decide on your ratio here, how hot or how spicy that you want it. Another good thing that you could do to drizzle on the top is if you had a really, really ripe avocado and put it in your food processor with a little sour cream, and then you could drizzle that over the top. That would be really good too. Let's see. Couldn't get me spoon. Let's see what I think. Just a tad. Just a tad more. And then I like to add this to a piping bag so that I can drizzle it. Or you could put it in a squeeze bottle as well. That's another good option. Now there's all kinds of things that you could add to this bowl. You could add black beans, corn, bell peppers, cucumbers. I mean, the sky's really the limit to what all you could add to this. So this is ready. I've got some papita seeds, roasted salted papita seeds. I've got a little chopped cilantro. All of that for a garnish. And now I think it's time. It's time to assemble. Let's go. Here we go. First, though, we need to check on our quinoa. And it looks perfect. It is not clumpy. It is not gooey. I don't know that. Put some in a little spoon here and show you. So see, it's just all the grains are coming apart. It is ready. I am, however, just going to give it a taste. See if it needs a little seasoning, salt or pepper. I think it's perfect. But it is a little too hot. This is really a cold bowl. So I'm going to go ahead in my plates here and just put my quinoa down to let that start cooling before we finish completely plating this. Because we don't really want cold coleslaw on top of hot quinoa. So I think you could probably squeeze 4 servings out of here, but I think you could easily do 3 servings. So I'm just going to let this sit and cool. I feel like I'm on that English show, The Bake Off, and they always got their towel trying to cool off their cake sponges. So I'll be back in just a minute. Let's let this cool off. Alright, so quinoa has cooled down, so that's what I'm going to use as my base layer here is my quinoa. And then just, isn't that pretty? I think that looks really pretty. I'm going to top that. I'm going to put some of that in the floor. I'm going to top that with some of this beautiful slaw. Give me a second to pick this up. Okay. Next, I am going to, you know what, I'm going to do some avocado first. Again, you can do so many things to add to this. And I think part of me wants me to do it pretty, where it's fanned out. Part of me also wants to do it diced, so it's easier to eat. It'd be prettier for the picture if I fanned it out, but I think I'm still going to cut it up. And we'll add that. So I think this is turned into a beautiful creation. You know, sometimes somebody just hands you a head of cabbage and you just come up with something beautiful with it. So I'm going to sprinkle this avocado all over. And Billy will like that. Won't you, honey?
What's that?
Avocado.
Yes.
He loves avocado.
Avocado from California.
Alright, so we've got our avocado splashed around there. And now we're going to top that with some shrimp. I don't know, how many do you think? 6? 7? Huh, let's do 6. Isn't that pretty? And then we'll do it on this one too. And now we're going to sprinkle some papita seeds. And I like this because everything's kind of pretty soft in here. And this is going to give you a nice little crunch, which I think was going to be really nice. And then I just want to garnish with some cilantro. And then our sauce here. I'll put that in there for now. And then we're just going to zigzag across the top. And we're done. And just look at that beautiful bowl that we created. Oh, it's falling apart. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, you know what I really want to taste is some of this slaw. I'm gonna kind of create a little taste. So I'm gonna do a little quinoa, a little slaw, and I'm gonna cut a little piece. I probably should have done that before I started this. Ah! Can I get it all on one fork and into my mouth? Did I lose my quinoa? I think I did. I think I lost my quinoa. Okay. quinoa, cilantro slaw, spicy shrimp. They all work. They all work. They're just like a shrimp taco bowl. That's what maybe that's what I'll call it. Anyway, it's delicious. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. When life hands you a cabbage, sometimes this is what you create. Thanks for being here, everybody. I love you. I'll see you soon.